Exodus chapter 11. Then the Lord said to Moses, I will send yet another plague on Pharaoh and on Egypt. Let him tell the people, both men and women, to ask their neighbors for articles of silver and gold. The Lord made the Egyptians favorable to the people, and Moses himself was held in high esteem in Egypt by Pharaoh's counselors and the people. So Moses said to Pharaoh, This is what the Lord says, At midnight I will pass through all of Egypt. All the firstborn in Egypt will die, from the eldest son of Pharaoh, heir to the throne, to the eldest son of the female slave who works at the mill, and also all the firstborn of the cattle. There will be great mourning throughout Egypt, such as has never been and never will be. Among the Israelites, however, not even a dog will bark at man or beast. Then you will know that the Lord distinguishes between Egypt and Israel. All these advisers of his will come to me and kneel down before me, pleading, Go out, you and all the people who follow you. Only then will I go out. And, in great anger, Moses left Pharaoh's presence. The Lord had said to Moses, Pharaoh will not listen to you, so that my wonders may be multiplied in Egypt. Moses and Aaron performed all these wonders before Pharaoh, but the Lord hardened his heart, and he would not let the Israelites go out of the country. Exodus chapter 12. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron in Egypt, This should be the first month of the year for you. Tell the whole community of Israel that on the 10th day of this month every man must separate a lamb or a kid for his family, one for each house. If a family is too small for an entire animal, it must share it with its nearest neighbor, according to the number of people and according to what each one can eat. The animal chosen will be a 1-year-old male, without blemish, and can be a lamb or a kid. Keep it until the 14th of the month, when the entire community of Israel will sacrifice it at sunset. Then put some of the blood on the sides and on the upper beams of the doors of the houses in which you will eat the animal. That same night they will eat the meat roasted over the fire, along with bitter herbs and unleavened bread. Do not eat the meat raw, nor boiled in water, but roasted over the fire, head, legs, and entrails. Don't leave anything left until morning. If that happens, burn what's left. When you eat, be ready to go out, belt in place, sandals on your feet, and staff in your hand. Eat quickly. This is the Lord's Passover. That same night I will pass through Egypt and kill all the firstborn, both man and beast, and I will execute judgment on all the gods of Egypt. I am the Lord. The blood will be a sign to indicate the houses you are in. When I see the blood, I will pass it on. The plague of destruction will not strike them when I strike Egypt. This day will be a memorial that you and all your descendants will keep as a feast to the Lord. Keep it as a perpetual decree. For 7 days eat unleavened bread. On the first day remove the leaven from the house, because anyone who eats anything leavened from the first to the 7th day will be cut off from Israel. Call a holy meeting on the first day and another on the 7th. Do no work on those days except preparing food for everyone. It's all they can do. Celebrate the Feast of Unleavened Bread, because on that very day I brought your armies out of Egypt. Celebrate this day as a perpetual decree throughout your generations. In the first month eat unleavened bread, from the evening of the 14th day until the evening of the 21st. For 7 days you must have no leaven in your house. Whoever eats anything leavened will be cut off from the commonwealth of Israel, whether he is a foreigner or a native of the land. Don't eat anything fermented. Wherever you live, eat only unleavened bread. So Moses summoned all the leaders of Israel and said to them, Choose a lamb or a goat for each family. Sacrifice it to celebrate the Passover. Dip a bunch of hyssop in the blood that is in the basin and dab the blood on the top beam and on the sides of the doors. None of you will be able to leave the house until dawn. When the Lord passes through the land to kill the Egyptians, he will see the blood on the top beam and on the sides of the door, and he will pass over that door, and he will not allow the destroyer to enter your house to kill you. Obey these instructions as a perpetual decree for you and your descendants. When you enter the land the Lord has promised to give you, celebrate this ceremony. When your children ask you, "What does this ceremony mean?" tell them, "It is the Passover sacrifice to the Lord, who passed over the houses of the Israelites in Egypt and spared our houses when he slew the Egyptians." Then the people bowed down in worship. Then the Israelites withdrew and did as the Lord had commanded Moses and Aaron. So at midnight the Lord killed all the firstborn in Egypt, from the eldest son of Pharaoh, heir to the throne, to the eldest son of the prisoner who was in the dungeon, and also all the firstborn of the cattle. In the middle of the night Pharaoh, all his advisers, and all the Egyptians got up. And there was great mourning in Egypt, for there was not a house without one dead. That same night Pharaoh sent for Moses and Aaron and said to them, "Get out of my people immediately, you and the Israelites. Go and worship the Lord, as you asked. Take your flocks, as you said, and bless me too." The Egyptians pressed the people to hurry and leave the country, saying, "We will all die." Then the people took the unleavened dough and carried it on their shoulders and the kneading troughs wrapped in their clothes. The Israelites obeyed Moses' command and asked the Egyptians for objects of silver and gold, as well as clothing. The Lord granted the people a favorable disposition on the part of the Egyptians, so that they gave them what they asked, so they plundered the Egyptians. The Israelites went from Ramesses to Succoth. There were about 600,000 men on foot, besides women and children. A large crowd of foreigners of all kinds followed with them, in addition to large herds, both oxen and sheep and goats. With the dough they had brought from Egypt, they made unleavened bread. The dough had not risen, as they were expelled from Egypt and did not have time to prepare food. Now the period that the Israelites lived in Egypt was 430 years. On the day when the 430 years were completed, all the armies of the Lord left Egypt. Just as the Lord kept vigil that night to bring the Israelites out of Egypt, so they must also keep vigil that same night, to honor the Lord throughout all their generations. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "These are the laws of the Passover, no foreigner may eat it. The slave bought may eat the Passover after being circumcised, but her temporary resident and hired laborer will not eat. You will eat it in one house. Do not take any of the meat out of the house or break any of the bones." The entire community of Israel will have to celebrate the Passover. Any foreigner residing among you who wants to celebrate the Lord's Passover will have to circumcise all the males in his household, then he may participate as a native of the land. No uncircumcised person may participate. The same law will apply to the native of the land and to the resident foreigner. All the Israelites did as the Lord had commanded Moses and Aaron. On the same day the Lord brought the Israelites out of Egypt, organized according to their divisions.